Hello boys and girls, Alex back again, back to my normal puzzles again this time. This latest puzzle I've got, I named the Claudalis, only because it was inspired by a chap named Claude, who's a member of Lumberjocks, and he sent me a picture of a puzzle he once did. This puzzle has been attributed to Polish authors' heritage, and they called it a Klotski. It's also been attributed to the Chinese who have tried to lay claim to it as well, why not? And it's been also attributed to Chicagoans, or voodoo makers of Chicago, I could say, whoever. However, it's been published by so many different names and so many people, I don't see why anybody would object to me calling it Claudalis. Anyway, designed under SketchUp, this was my first print. It's this is the standard layout. I've actually put numbers on them. Letters on them, and there's a gate here. However, I have been told that in trying to solve it, as you move the pieces around, they keep falling out the front here. The objective of the game, before I go any further, is to get this large block manipulated around by moving pieces around until it comes to the front and then just slips out the gate. But because of this opening, all the other pieces can quite easily slip out. And not only that, I've got this piece sitting in there, which normally I just had them sitting flat in the tray, but I put that in there so I could highly polish it so they could slip around much easier. Unfortunately, I glued this up and hadn't been polished, so that's just rough MDF. So it doesn't move around too well. Well, I redesigned it and come up with this design. Now, very similar to one extent. I put holes in the little pieces so you can put your finger in there and push them around a little bit easier. But the beauty of this is, and I'm not going to try and solve it, for God's sake, I'll tell you why in a second. But the objective is, once you get this there, I've now got a little slot at the front where that will push out through. While you're moving this around, these pieces won't fit out through that slot. And you can always, and not only that, to put it back, you can put it in there. Why the hell you do that, I've got no idea, because all you've got to do is put it in there. But hey, shit, it's a puzzle. Anything I do about a puzzle puzzles me. This is how it comes off the laser after it comes out of SketchUp. You get this big puzzle that used to be the original. That can go, not needed. You can pop out these little circles. They're not needed. This, there's actually two holes here that there only because after I realised the folly of this design with the open, hang on, let's go this way, with the open gate, hang on, gotta get rid of all these nibs. As I say to you, you know, you guys see this virtually the first time, nothing is rehearsed, which I'm sure a lot of you regret. Yeah, the whole idea was, because everything can fall out, I was going to put a little gate in there with MDF with dowels, so you could then, once you eventually got that piece there, you could lift the gate up and push it out. I mean, I thought, what a stupid idea. So what I finished up doing is put a new lid on top of it, like that, which should give sufficient clearance for the small piece to come in and out, but not the big pieces. So that's the whole idea of it. Now what I'm going to do is glue this up. This needs to be, the reason for this is that if I polish the base up, it's going to be harder to glue this fence or around it over polished wax. Look, I'm sure the super glue would hold, but not as much as, or as nice as, if I leave that as is, polish this up, insert that as the base, then I can glue this on top, polish that up, and I've got sort of like raw MDF on all the glue faces. That's the concept behind it. It worked for this, so don't tell me it doesn't work. Okay? So, the first thing I'm going to do now, without any further ado, is glue this bloody thing up. Here we go with the glue up. I brought in this little jig or thing I made. I made this actually quite a while back too. When I ventured into puzzles about 13 years ago when I was still in Richmond. I thought I'll use this to make up puzzles. I never got to use it. However, I found it's a great squaring jig. So, this is the base. Slap it in there. Bit of super glue around the perimeter. Oh, and we've done it again. An empty thing. Toss that. God, I seem to be good at doing that. Okay, here we go. Just I should be more careful because this thin super glue spreads everywhere and it doesn't bloody dry as quick as you'd think it should. It should. That's the word I'm using, not would, should. It still dries quicker than when you want it to. Put that in there. This little jig will help square that up. Flip it over, and I suppose I should wipe off the squeeze out, which is always there, for God's sake. I don't know why I can't do a glue up without squeeze out. Alright, and I've already off-centered it. Put it back in there. Actually, if I flip it over this way, I can put some weight on that. Give me something with some weight. This will do. And I'll grab another one. See, hand planes are good for something. There. Okay, a few minutes. In the meantime, I can get rid of these unnecessary bits of wood, and while I'm waiting for the glue to dry, I'll take this off to the buffer and buff it up. That bit. Before I buff it up, which I started to buff off, I thought, no, actually what I should do is sand it down a bit, because what that's going to do is just take a couple of fractions of millimeters off that, which should make that gap just that little bit bigger. Only a fraction, and not only that, it'll get rid of the char marks. So, there we go. Oops, that's not on, that's on, that's on. For all it's worth, what I've done is I forgot to switch the hoses on my shop vac because the hose is still with my other one. That's why you've got all that dust here. Anyway, that's done now. So let's do that. In the meantime, while the glue's still drying, by now it should have dried well and good, I'll finish up sanding these little bits down and polishing them up as well. And well, I might as well polish them up when I'm at the polisher with these, and then I'll come back. My Bluetooth adapter for my new Festool shop vac hasn't arrived yet, so I still have to rely on my remote control PowerPoint, but it still works like a charm. For a lot of you guys that haven't seen or seeing this video, or one of my videos the first time, one of the things I do, I have remote control power adapters or power points plugged in, attach my shop vac to it, turn the shop vac on and control it with this remote control, which is just a nice way of not having to walk there. Now, this rim also has to be sanded. I use the bit that I cut out as a leveler. So basically what that does is it protects my abranet from sharp corners, because sharp corners, this abranet hasn't got a sort of like a solid perimeter, and if you catch it on something, it rips like tissue paper. So there you have it. Anyway, that's done. I've sanded all these on the other sander, so they're ready now for buffing. I'm not going to buff this until I finish up gluing it to the other part, just easier that way. So 2 trips to the buffer. That other piece has been also sanded. I might just give it another dirty. I hope it's now thin enough to fit through the hole. I might give it a bit more of a sand on the other sander to level out the edges a bit, so it slips through much easier. But that's it for now, until I come back. Hopefully the glue has dried. I mean, hell, it's only taken about 2 hours. Looks like it's dried. I've got the pieces back, so they're ready to be glued up. Look, regardless of what you may think of MDF, it polishes up beautifully on the buffer. I use the Beal system, which consists of first pass with triple E wax, then white diamond, finished off with canubra. And forgetting about the mops they use and all that, or the buffing wheels, but that system itself, it just brings a beautiful shine and finish to MDF. Alright, here we go. Hopefully this glue is still usable. Big dollop there. Leave that on, slip that in there. Oh, tight fit. Surprised that should not have Well, I wouldn't have thought it should have happened, but let's put that on there before I glue it. See how easy that slips in. Because I might have to, I might even do a bit of sanding on the back here to, oh come on, where's the sandpaper? Sanding on the back there to bring it down a bit so it's got better clearance. Look, I might even go and buff that little bit up to give it a better slide. While I'm doing that, I'll give this a clamp to make sure it glues down flat with that. So I'll be back. Polished up the inside of that thing there so it's ready to be glued. Make sure, see where I bug it up to is that and that are different thicknesses. Bad thing on my behalf, because normally I make everything symmetrical, but I buggered it up, and on one of them I actually polished up that side, which is the wrong side. But anyway, that's my bad, and I had to recut this thing again. So, and that's why I do, I've got to admit, I do try and, oh shit, bloody glue over the part that isn't supposed to be glued. You idiot. Too busy bloody talking and not paying attention. That's what the missus says all the time. Listen, you donkey dick. Alright, now, I wish. Bit too much super glue on there. Christ, I'm getting super glue everywhere. Alright. Lay it down. Check the squeeze out. I'm sure there's going to be some somewhere. Actually, that's not so it's big a worry as the squeeze out on this little gizmo. So let's put this back in the cradle. Come on. Level everything up. Come on, you shouldn't have a overhang. Put that there. No, it's still should be no overhang. Right, here's my weights. And give it a few seconds to dry. Glue's dried, the top's polished. Now let's see if it all goes together. The first test is to see if this slips into the hole. It's a nice little squeeze, which is good enough. So basically all that needs to be done is throw the pieces in. 1, 2, 3, 4, and there we have it. Another Claudalis ready to be packaged and distributed. Alright boys and girls, that's it for now. Catch you later. Hooroo. As always, I forget my head if it wasn't screwed on. Following this video, I will be posting a solution to this puzzle. It's going to be just an animated extract out of SketchUp, only because for me to do it, I'd need thinking time, and God, it'd take a hell of a long time, because the solution I've got, it takes 101 moves to actually complete it. Don't be too daunted, because a computer took 81 moves to solve it. And before you even get totally intimidated, just bear in mind, if I've got to move that over here, that's one move. To bring that up there, that's two moves. So it doesn't take long for you to amass 101 moves. Although I'd be quite surprised if you did it in your first go. This time, uru, and keep safe.